welcome to...
The seat of Longman near Queensland's Sunshine Coast has seen more politicians in the last few weeks than probably ever before. Malcolm Turnbull has pressed the flesh here 4 times, while Bill Shorten has donned the high-vis and visited on 7 occasions. A win for the government in this seat could give Malcolm Turnbull the momentum he needs to call an election, and whether Bill Shorten still leads the party when he does. Which means the 120,000 voters in Longman could soon have a greater impact than they ever had before. Voters in Longman are poorer, whiter and less educated than the Australian average. They earn around $80 less a week and spend more of their income on rent. Only 9% of people here have a university degree. That's half the national average. So do you know much about who the candidates are and who you're going to vote for?
No, I don't at all.
How are you going to come to your decision?
I was going to just read on them, but other than that, I'm completely unsure of them.
Chloe Taters is a young voter from Caboolture. She's 18 and training to become a barista. What do you think the biggest problem in Caboolture is for youth?
Drug and alcohol. That is a very big problem, especially drugs. Drugs is a very, very big problem in Caboolture. It has gotten a lot worse. There are like 13-year-olds walking around high, and it's just, my little brother, I wouldn't want him to be like that at all.
Are you optimistic about your future in Caboolture?
No.
Why?
I don't like, it's just not a place to grow, I think. I wouldn't want to grow in Caboolture.
I think specifically in this region, unemployment is a massive issue. There is an increase in drug use. We have an increase in homelessness. We're seeing more and more young people disengaging from education. Have any of you guys thought about the by-election in Longman?
No. Howard Buckley knows what young people want better than most. He's been a youth worker in the region for around 30 years.
The reality is, for most people, when they feel like they're actually taken seriously and they feel like they're actually part of processes, they will engage. And when they engage, they actually start to feel empowered.
Longman is being taken seriously. After spending 18 of the last 22 years as a safe Liberal seat, Labor's Susan Lamb now holds it on a razor-thin margin of just 0.8%.
We cannot have a system that rips our kids off, that loads them up with debt with a qualification that they can't use to get a job.
She's hoping the big spending campaign focused on education and health can prevent it from falling to the government.
I think people are feeling disengaged because life is pretty tough. Actually, you know, thinking about getting through school, what's my pathway afterwards?
Who are you going to vote for?
Labor.
And why is that?
Because they're more for the people, and rather than the businesses who don't really have much interest in helping people like me.
Jasmine Ridgway and Terry D are both single mums in the electorate. They work at a youth support centre. What do you think are the biggest issues facing young people in this area?
I'd have to say jobs. The kids that are homeless and stuff, there's not a lot of funding for all that. And I think there needs to be more of it, because that's when the crime rate goes up, because they've got nowhere to go.
So helping students reach their full potential must be our focus.
The LNP candidate is Trevor Ruthenberg, a former state MP under Campbell Newman.
Ice and drug alcohol addiction here in this area is higher than the national average, substantially. It's a real issue. Crime is an issue in this area. We need to start actually dealing with some of these issues rather than sticking our head in the sand and pretending they're not here.
Just last month, the Health Minister came to Caboolture promising $11 million for rehab services. The money will be spent by Stephen Sinclair and his team.
In the last 12 months, we've actually seen over 1,000 people in our service up here. 50% of those were methamphetamine related. This funding is really needed, and there's a lot of stigma around drug and alcohol use. I think it's irrelevant that there's a by-election on. Is there a by-election on? Yes. Is this funding needed? Yes.
Aside from $11 million for a drug rehab centre, the major policy the LNP is spruiking is the Turnbull government tax cuts, where low to middle income earners get a tax cut of about $530 this year. But it's Australia's wealthiest that are going to benefit most from this. And the question is, will that sit well with the voters of Longman?
I'm confident that the tax cuts will give companies here in Longman confidence to invest in their business, including employing people.
But if the polls are anything to go by, it's One Nation who will likely decide the winner. Its primary vote is tipped to be as high as 14%.
The problem that younger people have here in Longman is the youth unemployment. It's through the roof, and I mean it goes back to jobs aren't being created in the area. Why aren't jobs being created in the area? Simple fact, cost of energy is through the roof.
In 2016, a slight majority of One Nation's voters put Labor second, helping Susan Lamb get across the line. This year, One Nation is telling its voters to put the LNP above Labor.
There's a big disconnect with younger voters and the tied parties because they've lost the mandate they stood for.
I've heard the saying here, you live in Caboolture, you've got no future. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have. It is, it's true. Yeah. There are various few adults that roam the streets with kids, and like there'll be kids that are like 13 all the way up to like 16 just drinking under a tree or smoking pot or something like that.
You know, you're right. Sometimes you hear those sentiments. It's ones I oppose, and actually turn this around and say, you know, while people might look at this area and say, actually, there's some disadvantage, actually what we've got is great opportunity. If we have a government that invests in our kids.
If governments take a serious approach to how are we going to engage with young people, something will happen.